multiple people in custody, and police at this time, they're working to try to figure out what led to what happened. A lot of things to get to. We don't know the current status of both rappers at this moment. It's been reported that it's a leg shot.
He was popped. He was panicking. He was asking random people for cash apps. He was broke. I don't know what happened. Nobody was answering his phone call. He popped, trying to run up, chasing. Must got a gambling addiction.
He was like, how much money can you get or are you by? And I was like, I mean, like, I have I sent him the video, like, all that money that I have in my safe.
You're rich.
And he immediately called me. He called me back, and then he was like, bring all of it.
What?
Okay.
Think shit sweet. Don't think it's sweet. Shit ain't sweet, mama. On my mama, it ain't. My mama, you think you seen something every time? Why did?
Okay.
Offset was shot outside one of Florida's most well-known casinos following a physical altercation with a rapper named Lil Tjay. Before we get into what happened today, it's important to understand the history between these two men because this situation didn't come out of nowhere. There's a trail of events leading up to this moment, and once you see the full picture, none of what happened today will surprise you. The tension between Offset and Lil Tjay started about a year ago when Lil Tjay decided he had waited long enough and took his frustrations to social media. His complaint was simple: Offset owed him money and was refusing to pay it back. But what made the story compelling wasn't just the debt itself, it was the circumstances around how that debt happened in the first place. According to Lil Tjay, he was with Offset at a casino when he watched the Migos rapper completely fall apart financially. Offset was broke, panicking, and in full desperation mode, asking random people around him for money through Cash App, unable to cover whatever he had lost at the table. Lil Tjay, witnessing this firsthand, felt some sympathy and lent Offset $5,000. And what did Offset do with that money? He walked straight back into the casino, blew through it, and then took out another loan from someone else to keep gambling. When it came time to pay Lil Tjay back, Offset went completely silent. No calls, no payment, no acknowledgement, just avoidance. And anyone who has ever lent money to someone and been ignored knows how quickly that situation goes from frustrating to personal. Lil Tjay's approach to handling it was loud and public. He blasted Offset on social media, called him broke, and told his followers never to lend Offset money under any circumstance.
Why this Offset? Offset broke. Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all the stream too. That broke. That pop. I'll tell y'all a true story. I ain't got nothing to do with that casino. He was popped. He was panicking. He was asking random people for cash apps. He was broke. I don't know what happened. Nobody was answering his phone call. He popped, trying to run up, chasing. Must got a gambling addiction. Yo, he just popped. He called cash apps in front of me. I ain't gonna lie to you. The first 5 I offered, I'm like, yo, you pop, you waiting for some bread, for my money. I swung that 5. You know how I get. He gets popped. Not us two dicing each other. He gets popped straight to the casino. Goes not. He get another loan from somebody else for like 2 bands. I don't even take my loan. I'm like, that's Offset. I'm good on my money. I'm worried about this. Got mad, bread. I definitely run off for 5 bands. He popped for the.
The delivery wasn't exactly professional, but the underlying frustration was completely legitimate. You lend someone money, they ignore you, and eventually you stop being polite about it. What followed was a public exchange between the two that the internet watched closely. Lil Tjay told Offset directly that he was going to slap him. Offset responded with his chest out, daring Lil Tjay to come find him in New York, even offering to fly out to wherever Lil Tjay was to handle things face to face. He leaned into the bravado, tagging Lil Tjay publicly, acting as if the whole thing was beneath him. But here's the thing about those kinds of exchanges. Once they go public, there's no quiet way out. The first person to send a private message trying to de-escalate gets screenshot and exposed as backing down. So both men were essentially locked into the confrontation, whether they wanted to be or not. Here's where the story gets deeper, because Lil Tjay is not the only person Offset has done this to. This isn't an isolated incident of a debt gone sideways. This is a repeated pattern of behavior that has followed Offset around for some time now, and once you see it laid out clearly, it tells you a lot about who he is when the cameras aren't rolling and the music isn't playing. A woman named Selena Powell came forward with her own story about Offset that mirrors what Lil Tjay described almost exactly.
Like, yo, I need a favor. This
Wait,
is a
let's
test.
not skip over that. He told her to he still needed that. He still needed that.
Oh. So he was like, I did a favor and this is a test. I was like, okay, what? He was like, how much money can you get or are you by? And I was like, I mean, like I sent him the video, like all that money that I have in my safe.
You're rich.
And he immediately called me. He called me back and then he was like, bring all of it. And I was like, I don't even know how much this is. He was like, bring all of it because I have a ton of 20s and then like hundreds.
At the time, not now, currently.
No, yeah, no.
Because, continue. Keep going.
Because now, so then he was like, yeah, bring all of it. So I actually did. But in my mind, I was like, I can't give him the 20s. Like, let me just give him the hundreds. He was like counting out in the car. I went to the casino, by the way. I'm not going to do every single detail and have this.
She's working on her 40-minute straight drive.
Now, most people would hear that and think surely he paid her back. He did not. When Selena began pressing Offset to return her money, the situation turned ugly fast. Instead of handling it like an adult, Offset allegedly began threatening her. The threats reportedly became a regular occurrence almost daily to the point where Selena felt unsafe. She went public about it on social media, stating clearly that if anything happened to her, Offset was responsible. She posted a video of him threatening her as documentation.
What?
Okay.
Think shit sweet. Don't think it's sweet. Shit ain't sweet, mama. On my mama, it ain't. My mama, you think you seen something every time? Why did?
Okay.
She described living in fear simply because she had the audacity to ask for her own money back. Think about that for a moment. A woman lends a multi-millionaire $15,000 as an act of goodwill, and his response to being asked for repayment is to threaten her safety. This is the pattern, and it's important to name it clearly. Offset borrows money, avoids repayment, and when the lender starts applying pressure, he creates conflict with them. He flips the narrative from "I owe you money" to "we've got a problem now." It's a deliberate move, or whether he's fully conscious of it or not, that shifts the conversation away from accountability and into a space where the lender has to defend themselves instead of collect what's owed. It's manipulative, it's calculated, and it has apparently worked for him more than once. The gambling addiction underneath all of this is impossible to ignore. Offset is at a Florida casino almost every single day. This isn't someone who gambles occasionally for fun. This is someone whose relationship with gambling has clearly crossed into dependency. An addiction at that level doesn't care about your net worth. It doesn't care that you have platinum records and brand deals and a public image to maintain. It will strip you down financially and behaviorally, and it will make you do things that the sober version of yourself would be embarrassed by. Calling people at 2 in the morning for $15,000, borrowing $5,000 from someone at a dice table, running from debts that should be pocket change for someone at his level. That's addiction talking, not logic. Now we get to today. Both Offset and, well and large, Lil Tjay were at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. As already established, Offset being at a Florida casino is not unusual. It's practically his daily routine. What was unusual was that Lil Tjay happened to be there at the same time. The two men, who had been going back and forth publicly for about a year over an unpaid debt, found themselves in the same valet area outside the casino as the evening got underway. According to sources with direct knowledge of what happened, it was Offset who engaged first. He approached Lil Tjay and the confrontation became physical. Now, anyone who has followed Offset knows he's not someone who shies away from a fight. He has been captured on camera in physical altercations before, and by most accounts, he can handle himself. Lil Tjay, to his credit, didn't back down either. The two got in each other's faces and things escalated quickly. What happened next is the part that changes everything. Offset got the upper hand in the fight. He was physically dominating the confrontation, putting his hands and feet on Lil Tjay, and clearly winning the exchange. Then a shot rang out. Offset was struck in the leg and went down. He was transported to Memorial Regional Hospital in Hollywood, Florida, where he was treated for what was described as a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the leg. He was listed in stable condition. The Seminole County Police Department confirmed the incident, stating that officers who were already on site at the casino responded immediately. The situation was contained quickly, and there was no ongoing threat to the public. Two individuals were taken into custody at the scene. 2019, casino operations continued without interruption. Now, the obvious question is who fired that shot? Police are still investigating, and no official identifications of the individuals in custody have been released. But the context clues here are not subtle. Offset was winning the fight. Someone intervened with a firearm. If you think about who had the most invested interest in stopping Offset from continuing to beat on Lil Tjay, the answer writes itself. Two people being detained in the aftermath of a shooting that occurred during a fight involving Lil Tjay tells its own story even before any official charges are announced. Lil Tjay's team was contacted for comment and gave very little. They acknowledged that some kind of incident occurred, but said they were not in a position to share detail, which again makes complete sense given the circumstances. When your guy just got physically beaten in public and a firearm may have been discharged on his behalf, the last thing you want to do is start talking to media.
There's multiple people in custody, and police at this time, they're working to try to figure out what led to what happened. A lot of things to get to. We don't know the current status of both rappers at this moment. It's been reported that it's a leg shot when it comes to Offset, and it's supposed to be a non-life threatening wound, but at this point, because he was transported to the hospital, we don't know the full details. Okay. Lil Tjay is a little bit more elusive. Of course, again, I have a direct official source, heavily weighted, that confirms it. However, I did also talk to his team, and his team, while confirming that there might have been an incident, they weren't at liberty to tell me, or it's a lot of things going on. This is actually happening right now. So people are in custody right now. This probably happened like an hour ago, and they aren't confirming what my other source confirmed, but it is being confirmed. It's one of the best sources I could have, that Lil Tjay was shot. But anyway, the matter of fact is, Lil Tjay and Offset was involved in an incident. Okay, now clearly, I guess you guys could probably put two and two together. It appears that maybe, or not maybe, but most likely, Offset and Lil Tjay probably got into maybe some altercation. Why would I say that? That would just be using context clues. They haven't been getting along. They have, kind of gone back and forth, and potentially they have seen each other for the first time since all of that. The good news I do have currently, but I might have to knock on wood, I don't have a death to report, which is good. But there was absolutely a shooting that occurred. It occurred at the Hard Rock Casino.
When you step back and look at the full arc of this story, from the casino death a year ago to the shooting today, what you're really seeing is a series of decisions that all led to one inevitable outcome. And almost every single one of those decisions was made by Offset. He chose to borrow money he apparently had no intention of paying back. He chose to go ghost on Lil Tjay instead of handling the situation quietly and privately like someone of his stature easily could have. He chose to engage publicly, escalate the tension, and turn a financial dispute into a street level confrontation. He chose to approach Lil Tjay physically in that valet area instead of walking the other direction, and now he's in a hospital bed with a gunshot wound in his leg. Two people are in police custody, and the whole world is watching. The gambling addiction at the center of all of this deserves serious attention. It is one thing to enjoy casino life casually. It is a completely different thing to be borrowing money in the middle of the night from women, taking loans from people at the dice table, and showing up to the same casino every single day, regardless of what it cost you financially or personally. That is not a lifestyle choice. That is a dependency that has clearly been left unaddressed for far too long. And when addiction goes unaddressed, it doesn't stay in one area of your life. It bleeds into your relationships, your finances, your decision making, and eventually your physical safety. There is also a broader point worth making here. Offset is a wealthy man by any reasonable standard. He has earned significant money through his music career, his group, his collaborations, and his business venture. The idea that someone at his financial level is creating enemies over debts that should represent a small fraction of his income, 5,000 here, 15,000 there, speaks to how deeply the addiction has disrupted his sense of reality. Normal financial logic stops applying when the compulsion to gamble takes over completely. What should have happened here is straightforward. Pay Lil Tjay his money, pay Selena Powell her money, acknowledge the pattern, get help for the gambling problem before it costs something far more significant than a hospital visit. Instead, a public feud turned into a brawl turned into a shooting, and now there are legal investigations, medical bills, and reputational damage that no amount of new music will quickly fix. Offset will recover physically. The leg wound is not life-threatening and he will be back on his feet, but the real question is whether any of this prompts a moment of genuine reflection, because the shooting today wasn't random. It wasn't some outside force acting on an innocent man. It was the direct result of choices, a long chain of them that started with refusing to pay back a debt and ended in a Florida emergency room. Pay your debts, get help when you need it, and understand that not every confrontation is worth having, especially when you're the one who was wrong from the beginning. Comment down your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next video.